Hey guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Happy Friday! Now, it is Modifier 50. What is it? When does it apply? And we're going to be talking about that today. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. I have been a medical coder for over 10 years. I really love sharing the things that I know with all of you. So I hope you'll take a second, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and at the end of this video helps you, I hope that you will share it. Okay, so let's get started. All right. Now, according to the CPT Professional Edition by the AMA, the definition of Modifier 50 is, unless otherwise specified in the listings, bilateral procedures that are performed at the same session should be identified by adding Modifier 50 to the appropriate 5-digit code. Note, this modifier should not be appended to designated add-on codes, and this list can be found by looking in Appendix D, okay? There's a whole list of add-on codes, okay? So if you have to use an add-on code, you know automatically that you do not add a Modifier 50 to those add-on codes, okay? Now, I'm going to be leaving some very helpful links down in the description box below. They are from Novitas and they are from the WPSGHA website, and very helpful, and it's going to explain a lot in detail because I know sometimes I talk like really fast. But if you want to look at this, take time to review it. If you are brand new and you are just studying and you're just sort of starting to learn all of this stuff, don't be overwhelmed. This is just part of it, okay? Just take your time and review it. You're not going to have to remember this all in one day, all right? Rome wasn't built in a day, and learning medical coding is not going to happen overnight, all right? If you are a veteran coder and you're just taking the time to just do a refresher, that's great also, because sometimes we tend to forget, and especially if we've been in certain clinics for a while and we haven't had to go out and explore and do other things, and now we are. It's important to stay on top of everything, okay? So these links will be down in the description box below. But one of the questions that I did run across while I was doing show prep was, does Modifier 50 reduce payment? According to WPSGHA.com, Modifier 50 is used as a payment rather than an informational modifier. So what is a informational modifier? What does informational mean? So whenever you are having a procedure and the procedure has like right or left, that's considered informational, right? But when you're thinking about like reduced services, that modifier for reduced services or discontinued procedure or Modifier 50, those are going to be more payment related modifiers. That's going to affect the payment because, or it could possibly, okay, according to this, it could possibly, not that it will or it won't for sure, but these are more payment based modifiers that you're going to be looking at, okay? The addition of this modifier could affect payment depending on the procedure and the bilat surge indicator. The bilat surge indicator for each procedure can be found on the Medicare Physician Fee Schedule Relative Value file, and that can be found at cms.gov, and I'll also be leaving that link down in the description box below. A great source of information when it comes to learning medical coding. Even if that is not what you're doing, you're not doing the billing, it doesn't matter. There's a lot of really helpful information. So take the time, check it out, explore. It is a free resource. And when you are studying medical coding, free is the word du jour, okay? That is what you want. You want to learn for almost nothing, okay? So, because it's a lot, trust me, all right? Now, I have some examples of when to add Modifier 50 and when not to add Modifier 50. And then I have a bonus one at the end that talks about Modifier 59. That's another question that I get quite often. When do I know when to use Modifier 59? I do have an example. So stay tuned. All right. So now I have 4 examples, okay, of when to add Modifier 50. The first thing that I will tell you guys is this. You have to learn how to read the procedure description, okay? Modifier 50 is only going to go on your procedure codes, never on your evaluation and management codes, okay? I just want to make that part clear. Now, understanding what you're reading when it comes to these procedure codes and or those words, that's what you're going to be looking for. Those are some things to indicate, okay? Bilateral, anytime that's in there as well, that's going to tip you off that no, you're not going to need a 50 modifier if the bilateral word is already in the description of the code, okay? So that's going to be coming up shortly. But let's talk about when we can add modifier 50. When can we add modifier 50? One of my favorite example codes is 20610. Arthrocentesis or injection of a major joint, right? And so this can be the shoulder, the knee, the hip, or the subacromial bursa, okay? Those are all your major joints without ultrasound guidance. So according to this, is 20610, arthrocentesis, aspiration, and or injection of a major joint or bursa without ultrasound guidance. So if, for example, the patient comes in and they have bilateral osteoarthritis of the knee and the provider does injections on both knees in the same visit, it would be appropriate to do the 20610 with the 50 modifier, as long as they didn't do the ultrasound guided, okay? If they performed both injections in the same visit, then yes, you can report that 50 modifier on the 20610, okay? 20526 is an injection therapeutic carpal tunnel. Now, carpal tunnel injections, sometimes people have carpal tunnel only on one side, sometimes they have it on both sides. So, if that is the case, if the patient comes in and they get bilateral carpal tunnel injections, then it would be appropriate to add that 50 modifier to the 20526. Because according to that, it says injection therapeutic carpal tunnel. It doesn't make any reference that it is a bilateral injection or that it is one side or unilateral or anything. It is just saying that this is the procedure code for a carpal tunnel injection. So then you know it would be appropriate to add that 50 modifier given that the documentation supports a bilateral injection, okay? The other one is 20550, which is injection or injections, single tendon sheath or ligament aponeurosis. The example that they give is plantar fascia. So 20550 is referring to a single tendon sheath or ligament or aponeurosis, okay? So if this is done bilaterally, then the 20550 can have the 50 modifier appended to it, okay? Because it's only talking about a single tendon sheath. If it's done, like I said, bilaterally, then you can apply that 50 modifier, all right? Or right or left, whichever one is appropriate, but 50 is appropriate for that. 24300, manipulation elbow under anesthesia, okay? So this procedure indicates elbow, right or left, would be appropriate if only done unilaterally, okay? Because it's only talking about the elbow, okay? And if it is done bilaterally, then you can apply a 50 modifier. Now, hopefully a patient doesn't have to have a bilateral manipulation of the elbow under anesthesia, but sometimes it does happen, especially if they've had an accident. Sometimes, sometimes if they've had skiing accidents and they stop, and then both their elbows were fractured or injured, sometimes they have to have manipulation under anesthesia, okay? I've seen it happen, all right? So, that is something that, you have to be aware of. So always be aware of the language. Now, examples of when not to add modifier 50. So 20552, injection or injections, single or multiple trigger points, one or two muscles, okay? And then 20553, injection or injections, single or multiple trigger points, 3 or more muscles. You see here, it's telling us that in the codes, the first one being 1 to 2 muscles. So it doesn't matter if this is done bilaterally, it's already telling us that this one code, the 20552, is covering for 1 or 2 muscles. It's not interested in the fact that it's done bilaterally. It's telling you it wants to know how many muscles, how many trigger points were injected, okay? So 20553 is another, it's 3 or more muscles. So they just want the total number of muscles that were injected, okay, for this trigger points. That's what they want. So sometimes the language of the procedure codes is going to depend on what procedure is being performed. And so then you know that because looking at these codes, this 3 or more muscles, that it's going to be very important that the provider documents which muscles are being injected, which trigger points are being injected. So that is something to pay attention to, because that goes back to clinical documentation improvement. And you have to make sure that they are indicating which muscles are they, all right? So it can't just be that they're just documenting whatever. It has to be specific as possible, okay? The next one is, for example, that you don't have to add a modifier 50 is 11720, which is debridement debridement of nail or nails by any method 1 to 5, and then they have 11721, 6 or more nails debrided. Okay, again, it's not looking for laterality, it's looking at how many nails. It wants to know how many nails were debrided. Okay, so that would be another example of a modifier 50 not applying, because it's specifically telling you it's looking at the number of nails. Okay, now like I said, when the description of the code has bilateral already in it, it's not going to apply. Okay, the 50 modifier is not going to apply because it's already telling you in the code that that 50 modifier is already built in basically to that code. And the example that I want to give is 58953, bilateral salpingo-oophorectomy with omenectomy and radical dissection for debulking. It already has bilateral in it, so modifier 50 would not apply. However, if only the right side was done, the appropriate reporting would be the 58953 with modifier 52 showing reduced procedure along with the RT modifier to specify the location. Because for whatever reason, sometimes these things, they happen, that would be what you would report then. Because according to this code, this 58953, it's saying that this is a bilateral procedure that was done. But according to the documentation, the documentation may be saying that no, only the right side was done. So in that case, then it's going to be a reduced procedure because it wasn't done bilaterally and it was only done on the right side. So that is when the 52 would be first, followed by the RT. Anything that's going to affect the payment, 52, 22, like for increased services, 50, okay, bilateral procedure. What is another one? Oh gosh, those are the only ones I can think of right now off the top of my head. Or 51, multiple procedures. Anytime those are there, right, you're going to put those first before you're going to do any of this other informational modifiers like the RT or any of the finger or toe modifiers, okay? So in those examples, anything that's going to affect payment, that's going to be your first modifier, then followed by the other ones, right? The other more informational modifiers, okay, if there's multiple, okay? So that's just something to keep in mind, okay? Anything that's going to affect the payment, that's going to go first. So in this case, it would be the 52 followed by the RT, okay? So I hope that made sense. All right, the next one. So 30801, which is ablation soft tissue of inferior turbinates, unilateral or bilateral, okay? Ablation soft tissue of inferior turbinates, unilateral or bilateral. Any method superficial would not need modifier 50. But if only the right side was operated on, then you would report with an RT for specificity, okay? Because it's saying or unilateral or bilateral. Okay, so if we know that both sides were operated on, that's fine. But if it's saying, well, only the right side was operated on, then we can apply that RT modifier. Okay, but we still would not need that 50 modifier. And whatever you do, I have had one provider that would put up a huge fight with me one time. Refused to put modifier 50 because they were trying to select the modifiers on their own. I normally take care of that for them because I'm not expecting them to select modifiers, okay? It's part of my job. And for me, that I want to make a gesture of goodwill with them, the fact that I want them to be really good with their documentation trumps my need to have them apply perfect modifiers every single time, because I'm not going to sit there and try to give them all of that information. Okay, I just want them to give me the procedure code, you know, if they can, and the diagnosis to the best of their abilities. But I did have one provider who insisted on using LT and RT together if they were doing a bilateral procedure, and I had to keep telling them, you can't do that. It's a 50 modifier. No. It's L and T. And I was like, LT and RT. No. It's 50 modifier. Well, why can't I have them both? It means the same thing. Because according to the book, there is a 50 modifier that covers for right and left. So you have to apply a 50 modifier instead. That's too much work, Blue. Okay, this is why I tell you guys to let me handle the modifiers, but I want to put it on. This was what I went through, and I'm like, okay, please don't do that, because it makes it, when in my facility we have reports that get run often for errors like this. Okay, so it will pick up if there's an error such as a LT and RT modifier put together. It goes on a report to my boss, and then my boss says, Bleu, okay. I will go take care of it. Why are they doing? I will take care of it. So that's why I said, okay, can you please make sure that you're not doing that? Fine, I will not do that anymore. I was just trying to help. Yes, your documentation is really great. Let me handle the modifiers, okay? Because this clearly, you know, but eventually they stopped. So, but that was one of those things that, I mean, it's great that they want to do the modifier selection, but at that point it was just like, okay, if you're not following what I'm saying, then don't do it, you know? So I don't know, but it finally worked out. So every time I think of anybody putting RT and LT together, I always think of that one provider. So, but that was one thing that does happen. So, but yes, so never LT and RT together. You always change it over to a 50 modifier, okay, if it's done bilaterally, all right? And then finally tonight, I get the question a lot of modifier 59. So this is a bonus for today. It talks about modifier 59, all right? So the language plays a big part. So for example, 20612 aspiration and/or injection of ganglion cyst or cysts, any location. Okay? So I'm going to read it one more time. 20612 aspiration and/or injection of ganglion cyst or cysts, any location. So we're not looking for right or left, okay? We're not looking for bilateral, okay? If it was done bilaterally, we're not looking for that. We are looking for ganglion cysts of any location. We need to know how many ganglion cysts were aspirated, okay? Or injected. So note, and this is actually in the book. This is in the CPT AMA Professional Edition. It is in this book, okay? So note, to report multiple ganglion aspirations or injections, use 20612 and append modifier 59. So 59 is a distinct procedural service, and this 59 throws a lot of people. So it identifies procedures that are not normally reported together, but are appropriate under certain circumstances. So usually if a person has a ganglion, it's usually just the one, okay? However, sometimes they can have multiple ganglions, all right? So that's when you would report 59, if there's multiple, okay? So note, to report multiple ganglion cyst aspiration or injections, use a 20612 and append modifier 59. Okay, so that is, that is the whole thing of it, all right? And it's not going to be 20612 and then 20612 with 59. No, it is going to be 20612 with the 59 modifier, okay? So that way, that is what it says here, and that it comes straight from the book. I'm just saying, all right? So always remember that the documentation must support, okay? If there is lots of things going on, make sure that you work with your provider, especially if they are struggling with the detail, because a lot of times they don't know. Yes, they are performing the procedure, and yes, they are doing their job, they're doing what they're supposed to do, but it's our job to help them to make sure that they are covering everything, okay? It's all about those details, and they have so much on their plate as it is. You have to have a good support for the quarterback, okay? They are the quarterback. And we got to be that good support for them. We've got to be a good team member. We've got to let them know that we have their back. And knowing when and how to apply these modifiers is huge, because this is telling more of the story, and it's telling more of what is actually happening, what is going on in these procedures, okay? So again, review the Appendix A for those modifiers so that you can more understand what's going on with those. I have been doing modifiers here and there, so I hope that it's helpful. And if you guys have any other suggestions on other ones, let me know. I've just been sort of going on the ones that I'm thinking of. And so if you have one specifically, let me know. Comment below in the comments. Shoot me an email. I always leave my email address down in the description box below. So, be sure to check in on that. If you are interested in other coding exercises, they are unofficial, but I do have some on my Patreon channel, and I go into detail about how I got there, how did I get my rationale and everything, because that is what I enjoy doing. I like sharing my knowledge. I like sharing the things that I know. So if you sign up on Patreon, don't forget, if you sign up this month in July, you'll be entered in for my one-on-one session. I have 3 prizes for that, so and it's all done via Zoom, so it can be either tutoring or coaching for medical coding. So I hope you win if you enter. All right, and I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this one up. So I hope you all have a great weekend. I hope you will enjoy tomorrow's episode, which is going to be about orthopedics. I'm so excited. It's going to be my Christmas in July, the weekend edition, where I'm talking about different specialties. I know orthopedics is up this weekend, and I think podiatry as well. So I'm excited. These are my favorites. So I hope you'll join me tomorrow at 7:30 Central Standard Time. And I will go ahead and wrap this one up. So if you're a medical coder, a medical coding student, somebody curious about the fascinating world of medical coding, a provider or a nurse, I invite you to like and subscribe and follow me on my journey in medical coding. I will see y'all next time. Bye.